Welcome to Speakernomics, the official podcast of the National Speakers Association, created and hosted by speakers for speakers. As we count down to the new year, we're celebrating our top 10 episodes of 2025, packed with powerful insights to help you become a better speaker and build a better business. Before we dive in, here's a quick announcement. Speakernomics is getting a glow up. Launching in January 2026, we're coming back with a fresh format, dynamic new hosts, and a stellar lineup of subject matter experts. Click the link below to subscribe and download wherever you listen to podcasts. The stage is set. Let's tune in. Week 7 of our 2025 countdown, we're tuning into Lethia Owens, CSP, and how AI engines are finding speakers. Is your digital footprint ready?
Lethia, welcome to Speakernomics. How are you today?
I am wonderful. So excited to be here with you, Shark, to share with our speaker community. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Now, to all my speaking friends, what are you doing to position yourselves better with AI engines? AI is not just changing how we work, it's changing how we're found. Right now, meeting planners, bureaus, and clients are using tools including ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and others to discover speakers. And if your digital footprint isn't AI friendly, you might be somewhat invisible in that search. We're not just talking website SEO. We're talking about all the sources that make you more search AIO. The question is then, to future-proof your speaking business now, what do you need to do with AI to build a stronger digital footprint, as well as create content that works for both humans and machines? And before we jump in, make sure to go to speakernomics.com. That's where you can find the tips, insights, and knowledge to help you become a better speaker, build a better business, and get paid to speak. Lethia, let's dive in. So let's talk a little bit about first how you're seeing, at least from what you're building for your clients and how for your own speaking business, how you're seeing meeting planners, bureaus, and clients, how they're searching for people today. This is something I'm fascinated with. I love the session at the end of the 2025 Influence, the post-con conversation, because some of it came up as well in that conversation with how people are searching today. You've got a lot of people in the past who were Googling everything. You've got, more younger people now who are also leveraging this as well. And not just being the younger people are using it, but you're starting to see younger people as a whole, meeting planners and in every other form of business, starting to use these tools a lot more frequently and fervently. We see it, of course, in the digital marketing world as well. But talk about maybe some real world examples of how you've seen people be found and show up online a little bit differently than they would have from traditional search engines.
Absolutely. Well, Shark, first, I'd like to just bring everyone to the center of the conversation by examining their own behavior, right? So if you think about your behavior, I'm talking to the listener now, when you've searched for an answer in the recent months or recent weeks, or even heck today, Shark, right? If the last time you've searched for an answer, did you use Alexa? Well, I fired my Alexa because she doesn't know anything anymore. Did you go to Google? Well, some of you still went to Google, but many of you actually are going to some type of ChatGPT AI tool to get an answer to a question that you have. But guess what? You're not the only one. The meeting planners and the people who are booking speakers are actually doing the same thing. Think about this for a moment. We used to do things like top leadership keynote speaker in automotive. That's what meeting planners used to search on Google. But now what they're saying is, I would like to know who the keynote speakers are on leadership in the automotive space who have a fee in this range, who has not spoken at, these places, but who have, and they're like painting this picture and they're doing research and they're asking sometimes complex questions that you can't get an answer for easily on Google. So what do? They go to the new best friend, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and they do a search to look for an answer and ask it to actually create a report, prioritize, rank, and score the people that the AI actually finds. So the game has changed. I mean, just look at your own behavior. The game has changed. And so it's time that we as speakers shift our search strategy to change with the game, right? So that's really the core of what I want to talk about today, Sharp.
Sure. Well, then let's talk a little bit about how somebody needs to prepare with creating that kind of content. I mean, if we sort of nerd out a lot of this when a person, or sorry, especially an entrepreneur or anyone, when someone, especially a personal brand like a speaker, is working on their website, how should they go about building the right kind of content and verbiage for their site as opposed to just specific website pages that would have traditionally worked as landing pages? You start thinking about all of the pieces that come together in, ChatGPT 5, for example, shows website, Wikipedia, videos, all social platforms, all those kind of things. And now we're starting to think of it from a much more holistic perspective than let's go change something on one web page. An
Absolutely.
H1 or H2 tag.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that we need to first identify, and we need to respond to what the meeting planners are actually experiencing in the marketplace right now. We heard at Influence 2025 that meeting planners are skeptical. Trust is an issue. There are people who look great online. They have the fancy demo videos. They were influencers, entered the speaking space, taking gigs from you and I, and they can do a great 3-minute video, but they can't hold a 45-minute keynote. And those people have gotten booked, bombed, and now meeting planners are like, I don't know if I trust what I'm seeing. So using this strategy that we're talking about today, Sharp, what I'm excited about is it gives us an opportunity to raise our reputation online and actually garner more credibility with meeting planners, because it's not just about um, showing up on one website or something like that, but it really is having your body of work being seen and actually pulled from different sources and actually presented to the person who's searching. So this is, like you said, this isn't just a add one page to your website or update one page to your website, but it does begin with research. Like you'll never really be successful in this arena if you don't research what does your audience care about. Because traditional SEO is all about what keyword do you want to dominate for? What keyword do you want to show up for? Well, AEO, right? Answer engine optimization. Some people call it AI engine optimization. Kind of, it's just interesting how we have all of these terms. People are fighting for who's going to coin what phrase, right? I actually coined my own phrase called SGEO, Search and Generative Engine Optimization.
Many of our speakers are still stuck with EIO, but that's in things.
Right. But the truth of the matter is, when we think about this idea of showing up, traditionally, you probably heard about search engine optimization. Find the keyword, leadership keynote speaker, transformational leadership keynote speaker. Find that keyword or that long tail phrase that you want to dominate for, and then put that all over your website and go get backlinks and citations and do all of these things with that keyword to drive traffic back to your website. Well, that works for search engine optimization, but the game has changed with AEO. And what has changed is it's really more about natural language. So what are the things that your people, your audience, the people who you're trying to reach, the people you want to find you, what are they searching? Like what are they talking about and thinking about? Really, it goes back to what we call first sentence answers. And basically, people also ask. So have you ever done like a Google search and it'll bring up like all these other topics that you hadn't even considered before? Well, those are other things that people also ask about, right? So when you begin to create what we call a content hub, and that content hub has a core question or a core concept that you want to share, and then you think about all the questions that are connected to, like, think of a spoke, a wheel with the spoke, right? So the core concept is in the middle, or the core question is in the center, but then you have these spokes of all these other questions that are related. So it's kind of like a FAQ block or FAQ hub but you want to create this content hub that's very rich with these first sentence answers to questions that your people are asking. And when you do that and do that well, then AI is going to start noticing and start citing some of the answers that you've provided. But first sentence answers are answers where you don't say, I, as a professional speaker, I travel all over the world, and you're like into the third sentence before you say what leadership transformation is, right? What is, emotional intelligence? No. You have to lead with the answer. So you remember when they taught us in school that when a teacher asks you a question, you start your answer by restating the question? You really want to say, if the question is, what is emotional intelligence? You want to answer and say, emotional intelligence is. So when you start answering the questions that you put out on the internet, in that way, you're now creating answers that are AI juicy, search ready. And that's what I really encourage clients to do when they're creating content, to be found on social media, and by AI search, using AI search. So
Question for you: as these things have evolved, what are some of the gaps that you saw? Especially, I'm interested in you because of your digital marketing brain. What did you start seeing that you needed to build out? I'm sure you did. You recognized this early and quickly, and it's something that keeps evolving. But what were the gaps that you found that you knew you needed to improve on to continue to build this out?
Yeah. So one of the first things that I found, Shark, is that AI is not like traditional search. When I put energy and time into a traditional search, like with keyword research, and I built content, I had a website that for 5 years ranked on the first page of Google, and I never even changed anything. AI is not that forgiving. Guess what? I found myself in Perplexity ranking, being recommended as the top speaker, went off on vacation, came back 3 weeks later. I do a search and I'm gone. It's like this, I don't exist anymore. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, I discovered that you have to be consistent in creating content and answering questions, and actually putting yourself out there with the strategy of creating your content hubs. You have to constantly be updating and answering questions related to your core concepts frequently, or you're going to be forgotten. And it's unfortunate, but it's just kind of the way it is right now.
So I think, especially for you and me, for people that have lived in this digital marketing world and
Mhm.
been fairly well known in it as well, it becomes very frustrating to go back and look at the mistakes we make that we uncover. Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I was in that space where had a website that ranked highly forever, and then you go on vacation, like you said, for a few minutes, and then next thing you know, it's moving so quickly. So I couldn't agree more. When you start thinking about the type of content in particular that people need to, I mean, there's only so much time we have as speakers and entrepreneurs. What kind of content do you ask a lot of your speaker friends that are looking to you to create, to do more of, to help start building immediately? Because we've only got so much time. Websites, videos,
Yeah.
social, all the things, but we've only got so much time.
Absolutely. So I have a couple of things that I tell people to do. Number one, start with video. You are a professional speaker. So what I love about when I'm ranking on or showing up on Perplexity, it's my video. So yeah, you have all this text, but on the side, you got my little video. So it's like, yeah, watch me do my thing, right? So I always say, as a professional speaker, start with video. Make sure you're using video as one of your primary content types that you're creating. The second thing that's very juicy for AI, it loves what I call definitive guides. So when you write a case study, a white paper, or some type of guide, how to step-by-step process, anything that an expert would focus on writing, right? Not just an article, because anyone can write an article, but how many people are going to take the time to write a case study, to actually write a white paper? So when you create high authority kinds of content, like those types, what I find is AI actually gives you a little bit more street cred. And it's like, oh, Shark wrote a white paper. Shark wrote a definitive guide on, and use those words, definitive guide to, leading through change, definitive guide to leadership transformation and transition in the workplace or whatever. Use those phrases, and it's kind of like a specialist and a generalist, right? So definitive guides and videos. And the other type of content that I think is really important is just social media content, because we have social signals that it tells AI that you're relevant and you're active and your information is fresh. So when you use that three-pronged approach, you're actually starting to create a strategy that will have longevity. And also, I've actually, within a matter of days, found myself showing up in AI search results after just applying this three-pronged approach, and actually two-pronged approach, because I was still working on the case study. So the video and the social was able to get me into Perplexity Labs. Also, kind of a bonus, Shark, is create pages that are connected to the major AI platforms. So Perplexity has Perplexity Labs. Create a page about your topic that is a lab page that's basically, for those of you who haven't used them, it's a public-facing kind of a content informational page. Gen Spark, I love Gen Spark. They have Gen Spark. They have Spark pages, so you can create a Spark page about your topic or your core concept. Remember, we talked about your core concept. You can use different platforms to create pages on their platform to further get a boost and a bump. Now, Shark, when we write blog posts and we post on LinkedIn, what do we do? What do we do, Shark? We text our 10 closest friends within the first 2 minutes, and we're like, would you like my content? Because within the first 20 minutes, if it starts to trend and enough people interact with it, LinkedIn says, oh, this is good content, and it starts to push it even further. So why wouldn't we do that as well with our Perplexity Lab pages, our Gen Spark pages, and so forth? So while you're trying to build momentum, have your 10 friends that you just let know, hey, I just published something. You might be interested in it. I just published it, so it would really help me if you go take a look at it, in the next 20 minutes, and get people to start looking at your content when you send it out as well.
One of the things I think that's really exciting, at least to me, about AI compared to I say olden days, not that long ago, when you created content, for the traditional search engines, you could get Google to index it, but it would take up to, say, 6 months. It's what we always used to hear, for it to really be crawled correctly and show up consistently in search engines. One of the things I love about AI engines now is that, to your point about Perplexity showing those videos, it is rocket speed difference compared to what it was with. You don't have to ask, you don't have to ask Perplexity or ChatGPT to go index what's out there. So I do love that a lot. When you think about videos, though, in particular, because this could be social sites, this could be embedded on your web page, could be YouTube Shorts, whatever. What are the top 3 places you think speakers should be posting their video content to feed this AI ecosystem? Because maybe all of them is going to be the answer, but if it isn't all of them, you do need it to crawl from some certain location to really resonate the most.
Absolutely. So number one, I would say, is YouTube, right? And the reason I say that, even though a lot of people are kind of making the switch from going to Google first, and they're now going to chat first, ChatGPT or whatever their favorite tool is to get their answers. If you take a look at what's happening with Google, they're now 25% of their results have some AI integrated answer for the search that you're doing. So they're really trying to catch up with that. But YouTube is owned by Google. So I think YouTube is still the number one place from a search perspective in general, because when Perplexity and Chat, when they find me and they cite me, they're pulling from YouTube first. Like that's the source that I found to be the first source that it pulls from for videos. I think another great place to post your videos is on your favorite social media platform, but a platform like a LinkedIn, and post it natively. Not the YouTube link posted on LinkedIn, but actually upload. You could do it on Facebook as well. But what I find is people oftentimes will upload it to their personal Facebook, but the world can't access your personal Facebook if they're not friends with you. But if you do it on LinkedIn, the world and Google and Bing and all the other search and AI, they can see your LinkedIn profile, even though, they are not logged in as a user or whatever. So YouTube first, LinkedIn as a social, and I think LinkedIn and your own website together are I would put them like kind of neck and neck for the second place that your video should show up. So embedded on your website, and I would embed it from YouTube onto your website, but load it natively into the LinkedIn if you're going to use LinkedIn as your place of doing business. Most speakers use LinkedIn as their primary social media platform. When you're doing this, though, here's the thing. Do a 1-2 punch. We know that AI favors unique, citable data, right? So if you have any stats or any science or anything that is unique or an original framework, use words that state that it's proprietary, that it is a published, you're bringing in published content that maybe you've written or that you've had published somewhere. Use words that tell AI that it's unique, that it's credible, that it's different, that it's citable, and it will love you for it because it loves pulling in data that it can cite.
So this is a branding question. You've built obviously a strong brand around being a game changer, and a lot of times we often hear in the speaking business, to solve that specific problem. Do you think AI, this kind of goes back to your content hub a little bit and spoke model as well. Do you think AI will help niche speakers more than generalists, or the other way around, and why?
Do I think AI will help niche speakers?
Speakers who focus on a niche topic more than generalist, or the other way around?
Oh, I think you're going to win if you're niched and
That's great.
you're a specialist, because as a generalist, you're not writing about one thing enough for it to say you're the go-to person. Because really, when you think about it, it's really, they're just trying to bring to the person who did the search or put in the request. They want to show that person the go-to sources here, because guess what? If ChatGPT delivered content or sites or information that was not reputable or not the richest, best content, people would stop using it. So it's important to, I think, really focus in on, and it goes back to the content hub, right? To focus in on the things that make you unique. I didn't say this earlier when I talked about Content Hub Shark, but we talk about having a signature system, a proprietary framework, right? If you have something like that, gives you authority. Anything that you can present to an online platform and use language that says, I have authority, like I'm an authority on this topic, and here's the proof, right? It's all about being able to demonstrate that you have authority. And if you can do that, AI will listen. Even Google will listen for traditional search.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask a question that really I think applies to all of our awesome listeners. If you were going to do this audit for yourself, for anybody listening as well, what's the first tool or prompt you would recommend people use?
The first prompt I would recommend that they use is a prompt to audit and seek to understand how AI views them currently. Create a baseline. And you, of course, whenever you write a prompt, you want to give it a structure. You want to tell the in the prompt, you want to tell AI who it's acting as, right? A researcher, an engineer, or marketing strategist, or whatever, right? So you want to give it a role, and then you want to give it, data. Here's the data, like any information you have. You want to make your request, and you want to also tell it what format you want your information back in. But I would say, do deep research on your own brand. Now, I'm saying deep research, Sharp. Do you think people know what that means? Do you think people know what?
Well, most people are using some deep research, or at least a paid model on ChatGPT or something like that. But if not, they should.
Right.
You can Google that and then go back and ask ChatGPT for help.
Right. But deep research, when I use deep research, like I'm going inside of Reddit conversations and threads to understand the conversations that people are having behind these firewalls and so forth, to understand their sentiment, their concerns, their aspirations, what's trending. And so go and see if people behind closed doors are talking about your brand, or even if they're not talking about your brand, but do research to understand what are they talking about in relationship to your specific niche, and then how you compare with what's being said about your specific niche, because that's going to give you a lot of data that you can use to formulate your strategy around how you then shape your content and create your content that you want AI to digest in regards to indexing your content and so forth. So I would ask AI to do a very deep audit of my brand, my likeness. So wherever my pictures, my voice, my videos, my content is showing up, kind of create an assessment and give me back an understanding of what's out there, and then give me a score on, is the content that's out there, is it AI friendly from the perspective of AEO, being findable as it relates to doing searches using AI tools.
And I've found it very interesting too, that I don't ever want to compare myself to other speakers, but it does allow you to compare yourself to other brands with folks that are getting booked. It's a good measurement tool. So one last question before we go towards the close. With AI evolving so quickly, what habits should speakers build now to remain visible, relevant, trustworthy over, say, the next 3 to 5 years? As in, when speakers get off this episode and start taking action today, what would be the first thing you'd tell them to do?
I would tell them to become an AI first CEO. And what that means is everything you do in your company, whether it's speaking, preparing your speeches, whether it's looking at your finances, whether it's creating a new product, everything you do, ask yourself, can I do this faster, cheaper, or better using technology and AI? And start to think that way. So I think that we're moving into an era where if you think that way, you're going to find yourself moving faster and being more effective than people who just keep trying to do things the old way. It's like, you're coming to the party with a hammer, and your competitors are coming with a hammer, a drill, a saw, and like all these other tools that get the job done in seconds, when you're still trying to, everything is a nail, because all you have is a hammer in your toolbox, right? So I think that being an AI first leader, speaker, CEO is the advice that I would offer them.
Lethia, you've also used this with some of the stuff you were doing at Influence. Tell us a little bit about how you were using an avatar to answer questions for Black NSA.
Absolutely. So Black NSA, we just completed a 3-day challenge called Make More Pitches. And we basically help people learn how to become pitch ready. What do you need to have in place before you start pitching? Where do you find people to pitch to? And then how do you craft an amazing pitch? And so while I was hosting that 3-day challenge, I actually created a digital avatar and used it to post to keep the community up to date on what's happening over those 3 days. And basically, and here's the important part, Shark, I didn't try to act like it was really me, right? I basically, in the avatar, I had it say, hi, I'm Lethia's AI twin, and she's busy working on preparing for tomorrow's session. So she asked me to come over and share blah, 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 blah with you, right? And then it went on to share the information that I needed to share with them, but I didn't have time to get in front of a camera, record it. So I basically typed it all out, put it in 11 Labs, I had my voice cloned, so got the audio paired it up with a picture that it turned into a video, and then was able to post the video on the Facebook site or in the Facebook group. So it saved me time, and it allowed me to go, be over here doing something else while my AI twin kept our community informed.
So a question I want to ask you from a previous guest is, what's working for you with CRMs, and what is the correct way to navigate getting the right one?
I am so
Could
excited.
have not been served up on a platter better for someone like you.
Yes, considering that I've spent the last month researching CRMs and so forth. So specifically, I use Go High Level. I have used Infusionsoft, Click Funnels, and Acuity, not Acuity, but Active Campaign, which Infusionsoft is now Keep. I've used Kajabi. I've used a lot of different platforms. I've used Zoho and Salesforce. And I've landed on Go High Level because I love the leaders of this company. I don't think I've ever used a tool where the body of users have asked for improvements and they've been so quickly adopted. That's probably the number one reason why I'm a GHL girl, right? But number two, I love that it's a complete solution in a box. So I have everything I need to run my speaking business under one hood, and it's very AI friendly and forward thinking. So what I've been really focusing on, and anyone who is using a CRM or is looking at a CRM, if your CRM does not have if it does not have a voice agent or have voice agent capabilities, I would second guess using that platform. So what I'm working on right now, Shark, is voice enablement. So I want clients to be able to call in and have a full-blown conversation with my AI twin, and it feels like a coaching conversation to understand their challenges, their aspirations, their goals, their business, and all of those things. And what people want, based on research that I've done, just general research, but McKinsey basically said that what people want now is hyper personalization. There's so much stuff out there. They don't want general information anymore. They want to know that what they're consuming is for them and their unique challenge and situation. So you can use AI, a voice agent, to have an interview kind of a process, and then use that to actually customize your CRM. So when you're sending out your emails, how you actually engage with them, how you interact with them, what you say to them, all of that could be super hyper personalized based on that initial conversation that AI has. So after that conversation, you can then program your Go High Level platform with all these custom settings for that person from that conversation. And guess what, Shark? You don't have to do it yourself. There's an agent inside that you could basically say, here, take the summary from this conversation and then create the top 10 things that need to be done, and then it will go into the system and do it for you, and you don't even have to use your own hands. Like, it's just crazy. So some of the things that I'm doing with CRMs and with voice agents and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, what is a question that you would like to ask a future guest on Speakernomics?
I would like to ask a future guest, in the age of AI and disruption and the ups and downs of the speaking world, how do you take care of yourself and protect your mental health?
A good question. All right, well, let's do a quick recap then based on Lethia's non-artificial advice. Number one, searching for answers is changing. It was often with top keywords. Now it's much more in-depth, complex questions that you can't get answers from the same way with Google and Bing. It's asking better questions. That means you really have to prep. And first, identify that meeting planners, they're skeptical. You need to fill it with your story. They're looking for things to help them trust you. Building that trust in you and your expertise goes back to first sentence answers. And people also ask. When you create a content hub with a core concept and core hub that are rich at what people are asking, that helps answer those questions. AI takes a lot of it from there. But what you have done may have worked way back when, but doesn't always work now. You just got to be a lot more consistent with filling that pipeline of content. Number two, she recommends starting with video. Then definitive guides, not just an article, but more high authority type case studies. Feed those engines with specific topics. And number three, be specific with your authority. I love this. Don't just call yourself an expert, but show your expertise with your framework. Lethia, I'm looking forward to seeing you at Influence or Thrive or any other NSA events. Any last closing thoughts before we speak ourselves off this stage?
I just want to thank you for volunteering your time, Shark, because what you do matters to us and it helps us to stay sharp with Shark, right? So we're staying sharp with Shark. I just wanted to say
I
that.
like I'm ace
Like
clothing.
that. Yeah, I'm in branding, right? That's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But I also just want to encourage our listeners to set aside, even if it's only 15 minutes a day, to really develop your skills, grow your skills in the world of AI. Like just set aside 15 minutes a day and learn something new every day about AI because it is the future. It's not going away. And it may feel like a threat, but just like the internet, when it first came around, we didn't know what this thing was. And now it's like it's woven into the fabric of our lives in so many ways that we couldn't imagine life without it. That's how AI will be. So just go ahead and lean in and do the reps and build the muscle.
Absolutely. Well, friends, make sure to join us at speakernomics.com and let your voice be heard. I'm Kenneth Shark Kinney, your host of the National Speakers Association's podcast, Speakernomics. And this has been another fantastic episode of the show. Thank you, Lethia, for your service to NSA, for lending your voice to the show. And to everyone listening, thank you for the privilege of your time. And remember, Speakernomics is a podcast where you'll learn to speak, get paid, repeat.
Thank you for listening to Speakernomics, the official podcast of the National Speakers Association. Interested in taking your speaking career to the next level? If you'd like more information on becoming a member of the National Speakers Association, just click the link in the description below. And don't miss your chance to attend NSA's Thrive Conference in New Orleans this February 2026. It's the ultimate event to gain exclusive insights and practical skills from top industry leaders. That link is in the description too. We'll see you there.